My last gift to my son was a $5 lottery ticket. He won $2 million. But instead of saying thank you, he looked at me with hatred and said, "That's not enough. You owe me more." He celebrated by changing his number and calling me a burden. The night before his birthday, I bought milk, bread, and a scratch-off because I couldn't afford the grill set he'd sent me a link to. I was at Harlan's gas station, the kind of place that still smells like oil and bubble gum. The tickets hung behind the counter in a bright plastic fan. "Pick your poison," Harlan said, sliding a sleeve forward. "For my boy," I said, "turning 30. Harlan squinted. "Dan? The one with the high-rise job?" "The one who used to paint pine cones silver for Christmas," I said, before I could stop myself. He chuckled and rang me up. I kept the receipt. Old habit from years pouring concrete on city contracts where every invoice was a battle. In the card I wrote, "Another year, another chance. Scratch the corner first, remember? Lucky hand from your old man." We ate sheet cake at my kitchen table. Too much icing, not enough cake, the kind Margaret used to complain about and then eat anyway. Daniel's fiancée, Ava, filmed him scratching with her phone. It looked like they were making a commercial for a life I didn't belong to. $2 million, he said, voice gone thin. I laughed first, then he did. Then we all did, high on the insanity of it, the kitchen suddenly big enough for our new future. I hugged him so hard his shoulders cracked. He slid the ticket into his wallet like a magic trick. "Promise, Dad, if this changes anything, it's only for the better." Promises are easy to make with sugar on your tongue. After that, the calls changed. At first, daily, breathless, lawyers, claims, a press photo with a cardboard check. He asked me to come, then said maybe the PR people wanted a cleaner story. Cleaner than the father who'd bought the ticket at a greasy counter. He got a penthouse. "Temporary," he told me, "until I decide what's next." He forgot my Sunday calls twice, then 5 times. On the 6th, I took a bus to the new address. Ava opened the door in a robe the color of money and blocked the entry with her hip. "Daniel's in a meeting," she said, voice thick with a pity I'd never earned. "Text him." I did. "Try again later." Behind her shoulder I saw a dining table big enough to land a plane on, and a crystal bowl full of limes no one would eat. "Tell him his father stopped by," I said. She tilted her head. "He asked us to keep boundaries." I stood there a full breath, the hallway smelling like eucalyptus and ego. I left a bag of his childhood baseball cards by the door. Then rode the bus home, looking at a reflection that made me look like someone's old uncle. He didn't call. 8 months later, he did. Brisk and bright and made of glass. "Dad, you can't live alone anymore," he said. "It's dangerous." We found a good facility, a nursing home. Don't be dramatic. The kind with bingo schedules on the lobby wall. Stop. This place is nice. Ava toured it. You toured it? He exhaled. We've been worried about you. We? Dad, you left the stove on last month. Ava smelled gas when she stopped by. Ava hasn't visited in 6 months. Silence. I pictured him massaging the bridge of his nose the way he used to when homework stumped him. Look, the paperwork's simple. And I can't keep being responsible for you. It's time responsible, I repeated, tasting the word. Son, last time I was responsible for you, I bought you your fortune. That was a gift, he said sharply. You said so. On video. Ava's video. Pick me up, I said. I'll pack. He sounded relieved when he hung up. I put 2 shirts in a duffel, socks, my shaving kit. Then I took the envelope from the freezer, where Margaret used to keep the good chocolate, and slid it between the shirts. Cold paper. Solid ink. The last quiet thing I'd done for myself in a life spent making noise for others. He arrived in a car the color of storm clouds. This is for the best, he said, like he was reminding himself to look kind. Is it close? I asked as we pulled away from my curb. Close enough. We hit the river and crawled over the bridge with everyone else driving toward their separate lives. He tapped the wheel with his fingertip in neat, soothing rhythms. As a child, he did that to calm me down before an MRI. Remember when we built the Pinewood Derby car? I said. You wanted it red. We didn't have red, Dad. We had orange, so we made it red with a black undercoat. You kept saying it looked like fire. He adjusted the climate control. Please don't do this. Do what? Make me feel bad for doing the right thing. The facility was beige and symmetrical and new. The parking lot had an ornamental pond that knew it was a lie. A nurse with a tablet smiled at us with her whole face like she'd practiced in a mirror. Mr. Hale? She chirped, eyes flicking to the Mercedes, turning the smile up another notch. Welcome. I didn't move. I opened the duffel and took out the envelope. Before you sign anything, I said to my son, look at this. He held it like paper could bite. What is it? Receipts? Copies? A letter of intent. He skimmed, then stopped skimming. Color drained from his cheeks. You filed a constructive trust? I filed it the week after you told PR you'd bought the ticket yourself, I said evenly. I'm old, not deaf. And Harlan keeps cleaner records than your lawyer probably imagined. You bought me the ticket. I bought a ticket. I scratched the top corner to check the batch like I taught you. I put it in your card and wrote, We'll check this together tomorrow. Don't lose it. The card's in there too. That was a gift. It was a specific gift, I said. Not a cash transfer. I never abandoned claims of ownership. In this state, that matters more than your Instagram caption. The nurse cleared her throat softly. Should I? Give us a minute, Daniel said, pasting politeness back on and handing the envelope back to me like it was hot. Dad, if this goes to court, it gets ugly. It already is. You'll look greedy. Then I'll match you, I said. He swallowed. He'd expected tears. He got teeth. The order freezing his accounts arrived 3 days later. Not all, just enough to make the TV stop talking in his penthouse for a weekend. My attorney, a woman with a spine forged from code books, called each evening with updates, like bedtime stories for adults who know monsters. We have the store footage, she said. Timestamp matches your debit purchase. The clerk's affidavit is clean. We also have Ava's video of Dan scratching and saying, quote, Dad bought it. She deleted it, but nothing disappears for my paralegal. Thank you, I said, and after we hung up, I sat on the edge of my bed and cried so quietly the house didn't notice. Daniel's lawyer sent a letter that wasn't anger so much as sneer. Then came a second letter, less sneer, more math. An emergency hearing followed to set the rules. I put on my only Navy suit. It still smelled like Margaret's perfume when the air was humid. Daniel arrived with Ava and a man in a midnight tie. They sat like a panel choosing a new CEO. He didn't look at me. The judge had a gentle face, the kind of man who looks like he knows how to hold a very loud dog without getting bitten. Counselors, he said, this is either very simple or very messy. Which would you like? My attorney stood. Simple, Your Honor. The plaintiff purchased the instrument, retained documentation, and made no intent to gift the proceeds separate from the instrument. We ask for a constructive trust over the prize funds pending trial. Daniel's lawyer used words like custom and birthday, as if gratitude had the power of law. When it was Daniel's turn, he said, It was a gift. His voice trembled. For a moment I saw the boy who brought me dandelions with the roots still attached. Mr. Hale, Sr., the judge said, anything to add? Yes, Your Honor, I said, and my voice surprised me by not breaking. My son is right that gifts can be simple. So can betrayals. I do not want his money. I want the truth to live somewhere other than my chest." Silence widened like a river. The judge nodded once, slowly, as if something he kept remembering about his own life had just walked through the door and sat down beside him. "Injunction granted," he said. "Funds remain frozen. Discovery opens." Daniel's breath came out sharp. Ava's hand lifted off his sleeve like she'd touched a burner. Outside on the steps, he finally looked at me. "Why are you doing this?" he asked. "You tried to put me away," I said. "It was a nice place." "That was never the point." He laughed, short and ugly. "You think you're punishing me? You just made a spectacle of yourself." "Son," I said gently, "I became a spectacle the day I got inconvenient to your calendar." Discovery pulled up floorboards. It found the home I was headed to had been reserved in my name with my checking account as backup. It found 2 transfers from prize funds into a shell LLC with a mailbox store address. It found the penthouse lease using my social security number for loyalty points. "They were applying to be your guardians," my attorney said quietly, sliding a thin petition across her desk. "There's a medical note signed by a concierge doctor who's never examined you." I stared at the papers until the letters sprouted legs and walked around. Guardianship, over me. While I still mowed my own lawn and remembered the names of all our neighbors' dogs. "Is there a criminal angle?" She considered. "Fraud is a hard road, but pressure brings clarity." Clarity came from an unexpected corner. Harlan, the gas station owner, showed up to the second hearing in his cleanest shirt and told the judge how I'd stood there, trying to pick a ticket that felt like hope and not pity. "You'd think he was buying a wedding ring," Harlan said, hands folded. "That careful." In the hallway afterward, Ava brushed past me as if I were an offensive smell. She waited until Daniel was a few steps away, then hissed, "You are a small man with a small life." I turned to her. "What do you want from him?" Her mouth twitched. Then she smiled, thin, efficient. "Not a father." "Then you'll get exactly what you came for." She blinked, surprised. She hadn't expected me to be rude. Men like me are supposed to crumble with gratitude when the beautiful people speak. Trial was set for March. Winter set its teeth into every gutter. I shoveled my walk. I made soup. I visited Margaret, which is to say I stood under the bare cherry tree near a stone with her name on it and told her the news. On a Tuesday, Daniel called, late, his voice raw. "Dad, can we make a deal?" "I'm listening." "I keep half." "You keep half. We end this. I don't want your half." "Then what?" "An apology in writing," I said. "Signed. You pay back what you charged to my name. You withdraw the guardianship petition with prejudice. And you call Harlan to thank him. Is that all?" he said, brittle. "No," I said, and a decision landed even as I spoke. "You agree my grandchildren's college funds come from my half, in trusts you can't touch. And you don't speak to me for a year." He went quiet so long I thought the line had died. "A year?" he said finally, incredulous. "You want to not talk to me?" "I want you to learn my absence," I said softly, "the way I learned yours. See if you like its shape." He hung up. 2 days later, he sent a counter, then another. By the 5th, he accepted. We signed in a room with a conference table that could have hosted diplomatic talks. His pen shook. Mine didn't. The apology was 2 paragraphs, real words I could feel with my fingers. He didn't look at me while he wrote, which somehow made them truer. The court entered our settlement. Reporters didn't care anymore. The cardboard check was long recycled. I walked home in the thaw, gutters noisy with small rivers. When the funds arrived, they did so silently, a number changing on a screen that didn't understand what it meant to me. I repaid the deposit on the facility he'd chosen for me without my consent and wrote a note to the director. People are not tasks. Please don't let nice cars keep you from smelling how scared we are." She sent back a note that sounded like someone exhaling for the first time in days. I didn't buy a boat, a car, a house with more rooms than people. I already buried the person I'd have wanted to show all that to. Instead, I met a man named Curtis, who ran a small assisted living residence on the edge of town, the kind where the aides know who wants extra ice and who needs their newspaper ironed. They were underfunded and overkind. "I'm looking for partners," Curtis said, embarrassed by the word, like good people always are. "I'm looking to be useful," I said, "to own something that doesn't make me feel dirty when I write the check." The paperwork took months. During that time I learned the residents' names, which of them cheated at Scrabble, and how to steer a motorized chair when Mrs. Alvarez wanted to race the therapy dog. On Sundays I fixed a door that kept sticking. On Tuesdays I baked lemon bars that came out ugly and beloved. Eventually I bought the place outright, and then I did something petty and perfect. I kept the old sign, Riverfield Home, and hung a new one beneath it, small, discreet, owned by Hale Community Trust. I mailed Daniel a brochure, color trifold, smiling seniors, a walking path along the river. At the top, in my neat old man print, I wrote, "The beds are reserved for people who can't pay, the good ones. Thought you should see where I've been spending my time." 2 weeks later, an envelope appeared in my mailbox with his handwriting. Inside was a single sheet. "I'm sorry, Dad," it said. "No more, no less." I put it in the freezer with the chocolate. On the first warm day of spring, I walked to the corner and bought a lottery ticket I did not scratch. I took it to the river and watched a boy throw a stick for a dog who understood joy better than most people I knew. The water was high and brown. The winter had been long. At home, the phone rang, a number I didn't recognize. The voice on the other end was careful. "Mr. Hale? This is Ava. I don't know if I should be calling, but Daniel and we split up. I wanted to say I'm sorry for my part. You always remembered my name," she added after a pause. "I remember everything," I said, not unkindly. After we hung up, I opened my desk drawer and took out the apology letter. It was wrinkled now from too much proof. I didn't reread it. I folded it again along the same line until the edges met like they wanted to be close. That afternoon, one of our residents, a retired math teacher, looked at my hands as I set down her tea. "You've got the hands of a builder," she said. "People who fix things don't always get credit." "I don't need credit," I said. "No," she agreed, "but you deserve to look at what you've made." I thought of my son's hands, glossy with new money. I thought of my own, ink-stained from signing and signing. I thought of the Pinewood Derby car with its fake red paint. The way he watched it fly down the ramp and turned his face to me, not to the finish line. That night, I wrote him one more letter. "Your apology is in the freezer with your mother's good chocolate," I said. "We'll talk when the year is up. If you want to see me sooner, volunteer on Wednesdays at Riverfield. They like dominoes. No phones at the table. Ask for Curtis. Don't ask for me." I didn't mail it. I slid it into the same envelope as the old card that said, "We'll check this together tomorrow," back into the cold, where paper goes to remember patience. A week later, on a Wednesday, I saw a familiar figure through the lobby glass. Tall, thinner, holding a paper bag like a peace offering. He paused at the sign-in sheet. He didn't look for me. He wrote his name, scratched it out, then wrote just Daniel. He went where Curtis pointed him, to the game table. Mrs. Alvarez tried to cheat him twice. He let her. I didn't step into the room. I fixed the hinge that squeaked on the fire door because it needed doing, and because if I walked in there, I might ruin it with my face. On my way out, I left a trifold on the volunteer desk, the same one I'd mailed him, with one change, a pencil line at the bottom. "I don't own you," I wrote. "I own the room where you can learn to be decent. That's enough for me." The pencil gleamed faintly in the late-day sun. At home, the phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. A photo of dominoes on a table. A caption. They say I play too slow. See you next Wednesday. I set the phone down and laughed in my kitchen like a man who found his way back to the part of the house with windows. Then I went to the freezer, took out the chocolate, and ate a piece. The letter stayed where it was, cold and safe, proof of something I no longer needed to keep warm with anger. And the unsigned lottery ticket on my desk? I mailed it to Harlan with a note. Put this under the counter. If some father needs a reason to show up with a card and hope, give it to him, on my tab. Sometimes you fix a hinge, sometimes you freeze an account, sometimes you buy a home, but not the kind with marble counters and cruel mirrors. Sometimes you build the room where a man can learn what his word tastes like when he finally swallows it. My son tried to lock me up with my own money. I bought the keys. Then I unlocked a door I hadn't known was still closed.
My grandpa's words really happened. I believe him. If you want more true tales stories like this, hit subscribe.